it's me again. Today's video is about the time that I almost died due to health issues. Now, I know I've mentioned this a little bit in the past, but I've never gone into grave detail about it because it is honestly something that I'm embarrassed about. It does cause me a grave amount of insecurities with my body because I do have a lot of scars. Before I begin, I do want to say that my name is Brittany Reading. I suck at uploading, but I am working on that. My 2018 New Year resolution is to work on uploading a lot better because I really want to have a successful YouTube career along with my college schooling, so it would mean the absolute world to me if you guys would go ahead and like and subscribe and comment. I was born with a thing called spina bifida. Spina bifida is where you're missing a few vertebrae in your spine. And a lot of times, if you have spina bifida, you're in a wheelchair, you're not able to walk. I luckily have been blessed. I actually have the function of my legs. I do have a little bit of, I don't know how to word it, I can't really run. When I'm walking, I can trip over a cord on a cordless phone. One of the more rarer versions of this disability is what I have. I have issues with my bowels and my bladder. So with that surgery came a lot of other health issues. For example, I get chronic bladder infection. One time, actually a few times, but the first time was in October of 2010. It was right before Halloween. I felt this really bad pain in my stomach, and my parents took me to the hospital because I was throwing up really bad and I was in a lot of pain and I was just miserable. So my parents took me to the ER and they said that my bladder ruptured. I had tubes inside of my belly and it was draining the urine out of my abdomen. Didn't require surgery or anything, and the only really surgery they did was to make sure that it was all out, and then the catheters. I wasn't able to go trick-or-treating that year and I was so sad. So jump forward like 4 or 5 months or so. I was holding my baby brother. My baby brother was born in February of that year. So at this point, I think I'm like 15 or 16, I think. So I get this really bad pain in my stomach. I was like, okay, well, maybe I just need to like poop or something. Like maybe I had like something bad to eat and I was just having a really bad stomach ache. And so I sat in the bathroom and then I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna try peeing. Well, I ended up passing out. Well, I threw up a lot and then I ended up passing out on the bathroom floor. And I think that was maybe in my sleep. I was calling out for my parents. My parents come into the bathroom and they see me on the floor. And I was like, I don't know what's wrong. My stomach hurts really bad. So my dad took me to the ER. And I was like unconscious in the waiting room. So again, I had a tube here, and then this time I had a tube going through my little site into my bladder, and it was draining through there too. I think I may have had a small surgery with that one. I really don't remember because, like I said, I was unconscious. And then just in 2015, this has like a really big backstory to it. I was doing something in my room one day and I felt a pop in my lower abdomen area, and I was just like, well, that was weird. Nothing was hurting. I mean, it was a little bit sore from the pop, but I was like, that was weird. So I ended up calling my urologist and I set up an appointment to see him. I told him, I was like, okay, something's wrong. Like, I was in my room the other day doing stuff, like cleaning or something, and I felt a really bad pop in my stomach. And he's like, oh, well, I wouldn't worry about it. It's probably just a hernia. And like, I should have told him, I was like, dude, I'm going to worry about it. I was like, what you're not listening to is my bladder has ruptured before and it really cannot happen again. It might be extremely detrimental to my health if it does. There's like no way your bladder could have ruptured, blah, blah, blah. I was actually FaceTiming or Skyping with my best friend. And I'm making the dinner, and I go to bend over to put the food in the stove, and I feel, and then just like a rush of pain. I ran into my room, and I was like trying to drain my bladder. I still have my best friend on the computer in the kitchen. All she can hear is Travis run out to his family screaming, somebody call 911, Brittany's bladder ruptured. I remember when we got to the hospital, they put me in a gurney, or a new gurney. I was like in the back of the hospital for a little bit, probably about a half hour, and then they got a wheelchair and they wheeled me to triage. And by the time I got into triage, I was barely conscious, and she kept trying to wake me up. The nurse that was checking me in was actually being very rude and like very impatient. Travis ended up just finishing the little triage process for me because I wasn't able to. She wheels us back into the waiting room. I would have to ask Travis what exactly was going on. I think he heard me having trouble breathing or something. Travis like storms into the triage area and he's like, she needs to go back now. Instead of taking me back into a room, she digs her thumb right here. And see how my nails are, like how they're long? She dug her nail into my chest and drug it up. Finally, after being in the waiting room forever and in and out of consciousness, and Travis going back like 3 or 4 times to say like, get her in now, like she needs to be seen now, they finally get me back. They were saying like, we need your urologist in here so that way he can do the surgery, this and that. It took him 24 hours to get to the fucking hospital. This is what he said, almost quote by quote. So, your bladder ruptured, we need to go in there and sew it back up and put catheters in your tummy and all this other stuff. I can't do the surgery. Are you kidding me? And I told him, I was like, I'm literally laying in this bed right now dying and it's your fucking fault. He's like, well, just give us about an hour or so. We'll get you an ambulance to take you to UMC. They come back into my room and they're like, okay, well, it's going to be a couple hours because UMC has, all of their rooms are full and so we can't get you in right now. That ambulance ride from TMC to UMC, my situation got a whole lot worse. I don't remember being put under anesthesia. I was probably passed out for about 3 days. Sometimes when I sit there and I think about that time, it makes me really sad just because it's like I was 19 years old and I almost lost my life. No one should have to go through that. I almost lost my life 3 times before the age of 20. I'm happy to be alive and making YouTube videos. I want to know from you. Comment down below if you've ever been in a situation like that. If you have had a near-death experience like that, then I am so happy you're still alive. I love you all. Also, I want to add that I'm going to be adding more content to my channel. I want to start adding like spooky stuff, like my paranormal stories and like reading scary stories off of Reddit or creepypasta. Thinking about doing like Dear David updates. I mean, I know it's like oversaturated with that, but I'm just so fascinated with it. There's so much I have planned. Lots of fun content coming. Anywho, okay, I'm gonna stop babbling.